Om Apyayantu mamangani Vak pranaschakshu shrutramatho balamendriyani cha sarvani sarvam brahma upanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam ma brahma nirakarut anirakaranamastu anirakaranam mestu tadatmani nirateya upanishadsu dharmas te mayi santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us feel our true divine, eternally perfect, blissful, luminous nature by dissociating ourselves with the temporary external covers of body and mind. Just as we have our clothings which are not our true identity. They change according to the need and can be taken off and put on. So also sages tell us that our body and mind are external adjuncts. They can also be taken out and put on as per need. Let us feel. I am taking my body off. Like a jacket. And I see that I was never born, will never die. Birth and death belong to body, not to me. I have no gender. It is the quality of body, not of me. Being rich or poor has nothing to do with me. freed from this cover of body. I can move anywhere. I feel great relief. Lot of joy. Tremendous freedom. And now I see I am not the mind either. I am not my emotions. I am not my thoughts. I am not the feelings. Knowing this, I unbutton this inner jacket as well. And wow, now I see I am beyond time and space, beyond any enumeration. I am one without second. I have no desires. For I am all that is. Thus I am bliss itself. I am love itself. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, although it shows 43rd class and the verse number, because this slide is just copied and pasted without making the proper corrections, it is class 44th. and the verses we will be discussing from 3rd to 6th. So let us begin with our usual prayers. Oh, what happened? Okay, yes. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishvavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we be protected together. May we be nourished together. May we attain strength together. May our study make us illumined. May there be no dislike between us. Om, peace, peace, peace. So this is the last chapter of this wonderful Upanishad, the 6th chapter. And this 6th chapter is about, after, as is the wont of Upanishads, the most fundamental questions concerning our life, when they start really bothering us, that okay, I have got enough money, I have got a nice place to live in, I have other means of entertaining myself, I have a nice TV, and whatever you can think of, I have got all that. And yet, unless I get answers to these questions as to who am I, and what is purpose of my life, what is this universe about, the life does not carry much meaning. And so these questions start pricking more and more, and then these queries come up, that where from all this, and what is the meaning of our living, who are we, what is I? And these questions, they become very prominent. It is, one can see that this body changes, so I am not that. And this mind also changes, I am therefore not that. What is that unchanging core of my being? Who am I? And then a little more analysis shows that all that we seek really in life is contained in the answers to these questions. That, well, because once you know that you are the source of bliss, you are the source of existence, you are the source of all knowledge, well, then what remains to be achieved in life, life is fulfilled, complete. There is nothing more. I remember, and let me tell you again, I am sure I have told this to you a few times, but may not be in this class of Svetasvatara Upanishad. And that is an incident when one of our illustrious Swamis was giving a lecture in a university. I was a student there at that time. So it's about 40 years ago. And the topic of this talk was the scientific approach to the goal of human life. And then after the talk, when Swami described that this is how one can see the ultimate reality, and then nothing more remains to be achieved, because whatever one was trying to achieve now is attained, obtained. And then one brilliant student, university means ask question, this, that. So it is one very brilliant student, a friend of mine, asked this question, that, well, Swami, suppose a person transcends his body, mind, and all that, and thus you, as you describe, becomes kind of a superhuman being. Okay, got it. What next? Mm. What next? Now, what that person has to do? And in reply, this Swami asked a counter question. I ask you, what next? What next? Our whole life otherwise keeps on looking for, what next? It is, okay, I finished my high school. Now what next? Okay, I finished my college. What next? Okay, I got a job, I got a spouse, a partner, or and this and that. So what next? What next? What next? This question keeps on bothering us, friends. Whatever we may achieve other thing in life, we may attain 1 billion. What next? 2 billions, isn't it, Richard? Do you want? Uh, uh, okay, if offered, you will refuse it. Okay, 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 okay. Yeah, sure, huh? Okay, anybody wants to offer Richard 1 billion? Let's see. Okay. Okay. So, well, what next? That question does not leave, isn't it? Yeah, let me get a very nice house. Okay, got it. What next? Well, this question does not leave us even at the moment of death. What next? But now, here, you get actually everything that you were seeking. Now there is no what next. You have attained the pinnacle. You have become really, this space and time has collapsed there. The word next has no meaning in terms of time. And when we ask the question, what is next? Then what Teresa takes for that there will be today, tomorrow something next. And so you take for granted this our present limitation of time. This our mind puts these two, like in this mathematics, you have the two coordinates between which you then have all those your graphs and all that. So time and space, like that, two coordinates, between that you work. Now there is no time. This program is all gone, and thus you have become free of this. Somebody asked me, and then a very nice reply was given by that gentleman there, that where do you come from? From nowhere. And since when? No when, it is. And nowhere this word is used, but there is the idea of no when also. In fact, there is lot of research done. There are nice books also on no when, from no when. So it is, you go beyond this limitation of time space continuum. So this question, what next, has no meaning now. So it is like that. It is thus you realize everything. Now in last 5 chapters, as we saw, lot of things have been discussed about it threadbare. The principles have been philosophically uh, discussed, logically, uh, deliberated upon threadbare, and also the paths to experience this. That also been told, being Vedanta being an experimental and practical science, it does not rest with very fine theories. Can I experience it? That is the question. Can those things be actualized in my life? How to do that? That also has been discussed. The principle is meditation and yoga. Go deep into that, understand, and practice the restraint in your life. Try to focus on the truth, and all that has been told, it is understood. Then comes the question that is tackled in the 6th chapter, and that, okay, I understood everything. Yeah, got it. I understand everything. I understand everything, but still I am not able to experience it. Does it happen, Vishwanath, sometimes to you? No. Yes, that, yeah, I understand everything, but I am not able to experience this. Understanding, fine, yes, I understand it. I am not able to experience it. What more should I do? I get, many such questions as to, okay, I am doing this and this and this. What more should I be doing? Why I am not getting there? It is now, what is the obstacle? Right on the surface, you don't see what is obstructing your progress, because that obstacle is hidden. That our psyche, as very, very small part, in almost all cases, very, very small part of it. Just to give you an idea, say barely 1% is perceived by us directly. Our conscious mind is only about 1% of our total this mind stuff, if you want to say that. It is, other things are all hidden. An analogy is given that, like, you have the tip of the iceberg visible, all the huge iceberg, but on the surface only a small part is seen. And the tragedy of Titanic, that the captain could not fathom that, well, this iceberg can be so big and it will really destroy us. Believed in that very powerful engines that we have. Well, but the huge iceberg that was spread miles and miles underneath. Imagine, how to break through that. It is. So, that is how our subconscious is. And we have to learn to illumine that aspect of our life, friends. And this 6th chapter is basically dealing with that. And that is where we need to practice this devotion. This practice of devotion is most important there, because we have to use the help Where we cannot see anything, we have to take the help of somebody who has the capacity to see and guide us accordingly. You need help. And like in many places in the Himalayan terrains, uh, nowadays there are other methods also, but some decades back, if somebody who is climbing on those very high mountains, now they have to take help of those local, they are called Sherpas. So Sherpas, they now uh, you have to rely on them. You have to take help of them. That is an aspect of devotion, that okay, you tell me, I have no understanding of this, I will follow whatever you are telling me. So, and then they take you, they are having, they physically, mentally, they have that toughness because of the practice. And they can go to great heights without needing oxygen. The others, lesser human beings, after a certain height, they cannot breathe properly. So they need extra oxygen. So this is all a very different phenomena than what we are used to, the subconscious, the deep levels. So this is what we were seeing, that feel that whatever we see in the superficial level is all actually emanating from that true nature of ours. The self is where everything that we see on the surface is connected. Tat karma kritva vinivarti bhuyah tatvasya tatvena sametya yogam ekena dvabhyam tribhirashtabhirvam कालेन चैवात्म गुणेन चैव गुणेन सूक्ष्मयि, that gunaiva सूक्ष्मयि, that what is it? Gunaishcha सूक्ष्मयि, yeah. So here on that small, I could not see properly. I will read from here, that's better, that. So this is how the after setting the creation in motion and withdrawing himself from it, he unites the principles of spirit with the principle of matter, with 1, 2, and 3, and with it through the mere instrumentality of time and their own inherent properties. This is the universe. It is set in motion through this self. This self covered, the knowledge of the self as it were is covered. I do not know who I am. And thus this whole universe sets in, just like in dream, in the dream, you do not realize that it is you are actually lying on the bed. Instead of that, you see you are riding a unicorn and then going to different planets, and different people are being met and all that. So it is, and that feels quite logical while in the dream, because you have forgotten. You are not conscious of the fact that you haven't moved out of your room, you are just lying on the bed. So when you wake up, all that universe dissolves in you. All those that dream things are gone. So, exactly like that, this whole universe that we see is emanating from the self. Now, after as it is, the words they fall really short here. So, they cannot be very expressive. So, one has to use the words to get this symbolic meaning. In Vedanta, it is called the branch moon way of knowing, branch and the moon way. Like somebody is asking, has the moon risen? And the other person who knows points out, look there. Now, where the finger is being pointed, there is a branch of tree that is obscuring the vision of moon. But then the glow of the moon is seen. So, when the that finger is pointing to the branch, what the person has to understand and understands is the beyond the branch that is being shown, that the beyond the branch is the moon. So, when certain words that are used here, those words are to be understood like that. You have to go beyond the apparent meaning of the words. So, it is told here that it is the two aspects that are there, the aspect of matter and aspect of this consciousness or spirit. They then keep on combining and recombining, and then we get entangled in this universe, while our true nature is has removed itself from it. It is not involved in anything. The meaning is, it is not involved in any of these. It remains untouched. Although without its presence, and none of these will go on. So it is everything and it is not anything. See, you have to feel that contradiction. It is sometimes explained by the analogy of, say, screen in a movie. That's a good analogy because, in this movie, everything, all pictures and all actions, everything that happens, all that is going on the screen. But the screen actually does not participate in anything. And yet without the screen you cannot have that movie. So similarly, the self is in all this and yet is not doing anything. No work can be done without it, but it is not involved in any work. See, this is something that one has to keep on reminding oneself, practicing oneself that in our actions. That is how we will be able to get to our subconscious. That it is here that in the subconscious that the various combinations are taking place. I am not able to see that. And then the outcome I see. In the subconscious we see that we have that seed. And then when it comes on the surface, then we become aware of it. So we feel that we are not angry, we have no problem, we are quite happy. It is all appears like that yes, I am at peace, no anger, no hatred as such. But then suddenly it erupts. You see a person and remember suddenly that how that person had treated you terribly bad, and all the anger wheels up. Suddenly the face changes, the teeth get clenched, the fists also get clenched, the eyes get blood red, and all that happens. It is now, where was all that? It was in the subconscious. When it found the occasion, then it came up. Like when the spring comes, all those seeds which are not visible, they suddenly everything starts appearing green and nice. Where were you? Well, we were hidden under the ground. So, similarly, all those things hidden in the subconscious, they come up. And so we have to learn to tackle them. And this is how you tackle it. It is it's very similar, Suppose you have to stir a very hot, say, mm, milk rice pudding. We make rice pudding. So it is that rice pudding is like that. That now you have to stir it. Now how do you stir it? Put your hand inside. It will get burnt. You can't put your hand there. So you take a long ladle and then so keep on stirring it. So here also, for getting to our subconscious, we have to take a ladle, and that ladle is that of devotion. That is the yoga. It is this next slide actually describes it, that it is that everything, what is yoga, that is described here, that tat karma tattvasya tattvena sametva yogam, that you have to now connect to your true self through this process of first accepting that there is the reality that is getting manifested as all this variety. The reality is one without second. There is no variety as such there, and yet it is manifesting as all this variety. Do you see it, Charlie? Yeah, sometimes this variety manifests as a good health, the same variety manifests as the pain in the arm. Yeah, it is all that, it comes to us in variety. Sometimes you see the works are going on very well. Sometimes you see the work is not going on well. So, in the middle of this, you see that the picture, very familiar to those who come here, the emblem of this our Vedanta Society or Ramakrishna order, that actually describes this process of yoga. In this, you see, there is the picture of the swan in the middle. Do you see a swan in the middle? That swan represents the self. And then these wavy waters, they describe the actions that we do, the yoga of action. Then there is the lotus that describes or suggests love, or devotion. And there is the rising sun at the back, which suggests the knowledge. And then the snake that surrounds everything, that serpent, that is the symbol of the practice of concentration and meditation or Raja Yoga. So all these faculties are to be used to make all this otherwise the conflicting variety outside that you see. Otherwise our life is like that whirlpool that is outside, you see, whirlpool. It keeps on, everything is in whirlpool, you don't make sense of it. It is why this person is behaving like this. Yesterday that person spoke so nicely with me. Today what happened? It is why all this. Yesterday there was such a big, terrible storm here. You might have experienced yesterday evening and night. It was raging, making all noise. So now, today it is all sunny and nice. It is what happened? Well, this is life. This is the world. There is no why and how. There is no reason in it. That itself is a contradiction. That there is some rationality in it is immediately, if we try to see that rational explanation of it, we get so baffled that we see that there is no rationality in it. It leads to invariably to contradictions. In whatever field we go, it ends up in more and more confusion. In fact, I was reading a nice book. It says that, look, it is about the psychology and about how the computers are made with that similar models. It is a book written by an MIT scientist in artificial intelligence. So if you want to read, it's a nice book, nice reading, Society of Mind. So it says, look at the language. We use words, then every word has such multiple meanings. So we want to make very clear, we try to specify further. It becomes longer and longer. And then ultimately it becomes kind of contradictory, because it is proceeding towards infinity. Because each word has a potential confusion. You do not know how many different meanings that word can make, and when it comes to you, no, I didn't mean that. So you again use another sentence. That another sentence also has the same problem. So it goes on, and what saves you, that is that sentence I liked. What ultimately gives you relief and saves you? Can you guess? Silence. But he has used another nice word. Why you remain silent is confusion. You end up in getting into confusion, and that saves us. That it is, I don't know how to describe it. It is true with anything. To describe anything is so difficult. Because of this, there is this whole thing around the world. I would suggest that Swami Vivekananda's those 3 chapters in the book Jnana Yoga about Maya, that Maya, that how in everything we are surrounded by contradiction. Our every effort to become happy in this world, things promise happiness, so many objects around us, always keep on promising happiness to me. Okay, eat this cake. See how much joy you will get. Eat this cake. And then what happens? You start feeling heavy and feel that why did I eat it? Now I am going to put on a few more pounds and all that, So you went to become happy. You didn't go to eat the cake to become sad. But then you became sad. Oh, why did I eat it? Huh? Doesn't sound familiar? Yeah. Okay, you don't. Huh? You want another piece. That is again contradiction. Yeah, it is again, that is a contradiction. You want another piece means one piece could not satisfy you. Huh? You want the recipe. Recipe is comparatively less harmful than the cake itself. So it is. Uh, but it is, yeah, every effort to become happy brings you more problems. It is, and yet you cannot stop yourself from running after pleasure. And that is bondage. That it is not going to really make you happy, and yet somebody is pushing you to go after it. What a bondage, you see, what a big slavery. You know that it is going to bring ultimately or just immediately also a lot of discomfort, and yet one goes for it. Has to go for it because it is, you see it as promising pleasure. Then same thing with knowledge. He has shown how about existence, knowledge, and all that we go for. It ends up in opposite of what we tried to get. And we tried to get freedom. Let us have freedom. Now, who gets freedom? Very difficult. Are we really free to do anything? No. You want a state to govern. Means you don't have freedom because the state is governing you. So basically, you go for state, and then you accept that governance and use the words, nice words, that it is for protecting our own freedom. This state protects our freedom. But you don't like this state. In the name of protecting freedom and trying to swoop on you, take your information and all that, you don't like that. So it is the freedom. For protecting freedom, you do something, you end up in contradiction. This is the nature of life, but the solution is going to the source. Solution is going to the source. That self is all that is. And this is what the method is, yoga. It has been described, but now in this verse it is told that so big, concentrated on that source, hold on to that source, and thus that devotion to that will gradually, it is told that in time, gradually this will come up. This verse is beautiful, and the translator here mentions that it is difficult to exactly translate because it has two meanings, and both these meanings are really correct. One is, that when you see the self manifesting as all, you see that there is more and more confusion. As you go further and further, uh, that you see more and more confusion, more and more mysteries, and never ending. It is a never ending thing. And the other meaning is that you go back, and thus gradually you realize yourself and get established in it. So, both these meanings are true. Then the next verse is, uh, you have to now therefore set out to practice yoga. And yoga does not really mean practicing certain postures or just thinking of physical fitness. It is much more than that, much more than that. So, this yoga is now do your actions, all the work that you have to do it, but now consciously connect it to the source, to God. That it is God who is doing all this, I am the instrument. Through this instrument, the work is getting done. This is the general meaning in this verse. Arabhya karmani gunanvitani bhavanscha sarvan viniyojayedvah तेषाम् अभावे कृतकर्मनाशः कर्मक्षये याति सतत्वतोऽन्यः. So, this is how you finish your work. Finishing the work, is important here. And we all like to finish our work, isn't it? Okay, let me finish my work. But if you notice, finishing one work, other next work is waiting there for you. Finish this work, and then next is right waiting there. There is no finishing of work. You already have plans. Okay, after this I have to finish that work. Then I have to do this, and then I have to see my dentist. Then I have to see my that person. All that one after another. So this is how work does not get finished. And again, let me remind you of one nice conversation between one of our Swamis, who was then our vice president at that time. So he was telling some young monks that, look, we have the tendency that, okay, this work, let me gradually finish it and then I will be free. No, work by its very nature keeps on expanding and expanding. There is no, once the work is finished, it does not finish as such. You have to see the source from which it emanates and offer your work for that. That is the Karma Yoga. And know that you are actually, it is all done through that agency. You are not doing anything there. It is you are the machine. And connect yourself to that source. Then you will be able to finish the work. Do it now. Don't think that the work will be finished ever. We have that tendency. He showed, there was the Ganges flowing there. So he said, look, this Ganges, when it originates there, where it originates, the width of that is very small. You can just jump over near that Gomukh, where the Ganges originates. The width of the riverbed is very small, so you can just cross the water easily. But then you think, it is, I will let it be, I will do it later. Then you see it goes on widening and widening and widening. Now here at Belur Math, where the conversation was going on, it is so wide. And then you still wait further that let it be over. No, it becomes ocean, you see. Now you can't cross it. That is what happens in our life. Work, go, you keep on, planning. Now the work will be over. Let me do this, will be over. After my retirement, then I will do everything properly, and so forth. Unless you make a concerted positive effort, it does not happen. And then it is, let us read the translation. He gives the start to the creation associated with the three gunas of nature, and orders all things. Again, in the absence of the gunas, he destroys all created objects, and after destructions remains aloof in his essence. It is just to give you a very rough analogy, not really, don't take it too seriously, that we saw that dream. Now, in the dream, all those actions which were happening, you were just sleeping on the bed. You did not do anything. In the dream, you did so many things, and it all was done in a short time, although in dream it appeared to be a very, very long time. In the dream, you spent years in, say, spent 4 years in getting graduated, and then, but it was the dream for half a minute in your dream, like this, when you were asleep. So in half a minute those 4 years happened, so many things happened, uh, and yet you were not doing anything at all. So when you wake up, what happens? All that dream is gone. You didn't do anything. That suppose Yona is worried that in the dream that, oh, I took a big loan from that man, now I have to return it to him. When she wakes up, she doesn't now go to, do you go, Yona, to return that money? No, you know that you never took the loan. It was all in the dream. So, when you see this truth, you see that you haven't done anything. You were ever perfect, ever free. So, this is the way that you have to connect yourself to this truth. It is our instrumentality is to be recognized, that we are just instruments. As Sri Ramakrishna said, that it is, we are like machine, and the Divine Mother is the operator. That Divine Mother is operating, and then thus what happens? It is that it is, I am the machine, you are the operator. This is the quote of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna quoted this from a song, that it is that I am the machine. That song is sung to Divine Mother. Well, I am just the machine. You are the operator. And so, as you operate, it happens. So, our consciousness, I am the doer, is to be replaced by And that divine principle alone is the doer, and that doer is very funny doer. Without doing anything, it does everything. Mm. So, that is when we connect to that, we feel the free. It is, see, instrument means it doesn't have any responsibility. That Jefferson used some pen to write the Declaration of Independence. Now, do you say the pen wrote the Declaration of Independence or Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence? What will you tell that? Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? If you said, give the answer, pen wrote the declaration. That is silly. The pen is just an instrument. Pen does not get credit or whatever is written. So similarly, we are instruments like pen, and yet we do every work meticulously, keeping this attitude. This is when we start illuminating our subconscious. It takes time, but it does happen. So, it is told here, Adis Sanyog Nimitta Hetuhu परास्त्रिकालाद् अकलोपि दृष्टः तं विश्वरूपं भवभूतमीड्यं देवं स्वचित्तस्थमुपास्य पूर्वम्. That this is how the divinity manifests, and it gets worshipped by previously meditating as seated in one's own heart. That it is the process of meditation is described, that okay, so you imagine that divine principle seated in your deepest recesses of existence, and we show it here near the heart. That is why that idea of heart is there, where you show your eye. There, the deepest core of your being, you imagine that, and that adorable being who appears as the universe, you see. It is the being that who appears as the universe and who is the true essence, true source of all creatures. He can be perceived even though he is primeval cause of the union of spirit and matter, as well as the partless entity transcending the three divisions of time. It's a very profound verse. And today, friends, we have finished the time available to us. So we shall discuss further this verse. I wanted to finish this and the next verse today, but there isn't time left. So we will try next Friday. We will just meditate on what we heard for 30 seconds, and then if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Yes, please. Okay, Richard, what happened to you today? Okay. Please, go ahead.
You do realize that some people who go beyond time and space and causation get crucified.
Well, that doesn't matter.
But
And that is the only reason you don't want to go beyond time, space, and causation, because then you may get crucified. Okay. Are you going to be immortal if you do not get crucified now? Still say everybody has to die, And when and how one will die, who knows, it is impossible to tell. It was such a heart-rending incident. A young man, he heard. This happened a few years ago in Providence, that his dad was admitted in the hospital, and he was serious. So his son came from some other state. He flew in, took a rental car, and to go and see his dad in the hospital, and met crash on the way to hospital and died on the spot. So death can come, can grasp you in any time. There is no law about it, that if you do not realize God, then you will not die. You will still have to die, you see. So don't worry about it. Uh, Let me go beyond time, space, and causation, even if I am crucified. Actually, this is a process of crucifixion, you know. Our identity with body and mind has to be crucified if we want to realize the truth. Our this erroneous, false identity with body and mind has to be crucified, dear. There is no way, to do that without crucifying that stupid identity. Yes, Charlie?
Actually, this isn't my question, but I worry about in the next lifetime being in a war zone or something like. I worry about in the next lifetime being in a war zone or being abused. So I worry about the opposite. If I don't reach God,
Hmm.
bad things might happen. But anyway, my question is, you said in the previous,
Okay, okay, go ahead.
you said in the previous class that all the founders of religion were enlightened. But when I'm reading, and so I started reading about one of them, Muhammad, and his early revelations were peaceful, but the later ones were more warlike. So how was he enlightened?
Well, I really don't know what you are. It is, in the scriptures you find lot of stories of war, but that is our description, you know. It is not the description of the truth. In the scriptures, you will see in all religions, you will see the experiences of lot of bloodshed and war and all that. It is, but that is not the description of the self. It is if you do not realize this self, this is what is going to happen. You will invariably end up in some war zone. That is the warning of it, you know. Any other question? So, we shall conclude with the closing prayers. Tomorrow, as you know, it is the day of that day-long meditation from 12, that is noon, up to 8 o'clock. Before that, there is our that regular karma yoga, that is the that volunteer work, and then there is the guided meditation and prayers from 11 to 12, and then there will be the day long meditation. So you can, if you like, come for that. Om Shanti 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 Hare Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.